My name is Mrs. Valarelli, and welcome to my first flipped lesson on graphing coordinate points. Today, we are going to take a look on graphing coordinate points on a coordinate plane. This was introduced to you in 5th grade, but it was primarily introduced as plotting points in only the first quadrant. In 6th grade, we go beyond that and we plot points in all 4 quadrants. So let's go ahead and let's get started and take a look at some of the vocabulary words that you should really recognize as we move forward in the lesson. So let's take a look at our first vocabulary word, integer. Integer should be pretty familiar as you had integers in our first unit in 6th grade. An integer is a set of whole numbers and their opposites, including 0. If you look at the coordinate plane that I have viewed here, you will see our integers placed on our coordinate plane. They range from -6 to +6 on the x-axis, and they range from -6 to +6 on the y-axis. Now, let's talk about a scale. A scale is the range of values that are equally distributed. So for example, the values on our coordinate plane are scaled by units of 1. Sometimes they're units of 10 or 20, or sometimes they're even scaled at units of 100. We'll be taking a look at another coordinate plane at another time that have values that have a scale of higher values than we have here. Let's take a look at the x-axis, which is the horizontal axis on a coordinate plane, the y-axis, which is the vertical axis on a coordinate plane, and we have the origin, the point where the x and the y-axis actually intersect. We're going to be taking a look at this in just a moment. Our ordered pair is a pair of numbers that represent the x and y values that intersect one another, and they are represented with 2 values with parentheses. And then our quadrants. There are 4 quadrants on a coordinate plane which are identified as 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is quadrant 1. This is quadrant 2. Notice they go counterclockwise. This is quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. Now, these are written in Roman numeral values. This one, these are pretty recognizable. However, this one, the V actually stands for a 5, and the 1 right before it represents 1 taken away from 5, so it is actually quadrant 4. Again, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so let's take a look at our coordinate plane, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight this. So the first thing I want you to recognize that is our x-axis is horizontal. It goes from left to right or from east to west, and then we also have our y-axis, which goes north to south. Now, our origin is always really represents 0. And it is where the x and the y axis intersect, or where they cross one another. This is really 0 on both the x and the y axis. Now this particular coordinate planes, we have our integers, again, -6 to +6 on both the x and the y axis. All right, so let's go ahead and get started, and let's plot some points. So here is a set of coordinate points that we're going to start off with. We're going to start off with coordinate points 5 and 4. You're going to notice that the x-coordinate is always listed first. The y-coordinate is always listed second. So the first one that we are going to plot is 5, 4. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to go over and we are going to find the origin. So the origin is going to be right here, and I'm going to put a dot here. Now, boys and girls, what I'd like you to do, you should have at this point have downloaded the guided worksheet that the substitute has given you. I would like you to take that right now, and I would like you to actually plot this with me on your guided worksheet so that we can do this together and you actually have an anchor chart to look at when you start your independent work. So I always like my students to know that the one way to remember which coordinate is plotted first is to remember that you have to walk to the mountain before you can climb it. So let's plot our x coordinate first. We're going to plot the 5 first. We're going to start at the origin and we are going to count over 5 units because that is our x coordinate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to stop. Now we're going to go over, we're going to take a look at our y coordinate. Now, our y coordinate is a positive 4. I know it's a positive 4 because there's no negative sign in front of the 4, so therefore it's automatically positive. I'm going to start where I left off when I plotted my x coordinate. And I'm going to go north because 4 is greater than 0, and it's 4 units to the right, or in this case, 4 units above 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to place a point right here, which indicates that is where those two values would intersect. Now let's go to our second value here, second coordinate points. The first one is 5. So we're going to start here at our origin. I'm going to go ahead and erase this so we can plot the next one. But only this time I'm not going to actually draw this out. So I'm going to change colors here. And we're going to start with our x value, which is 5. And I'm going to start at our origin here. And I'm going to count over 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to stop. Notice that our second value, our y coordinate, is a negative number. This is indicated with the negative sign right here. Because it is negative, -2 is below 0. Think of temperature. -2 is lower actually in value than 0. So I'm going to go down 2 units. 1, 2, and I'm going to plot this point right here. All right, boys and girls, so here's what we're going to do now. When you are ready, please see session 2 on plotting points on a coordinate plane, and we are going to continue our work on plotting points in a coordinate plane. Thank you for joining me today.